hours, history 17B.
Hello, Professor Danny. I think you're a stupid head.
There we go. So, office hours for summer session 17B. Go over a few things here. Let's go over a few things. First off, just so you know, this is a map. This is a map of part of Asia. India itself is referred to as the subcontinent. I'm not sure if all this is the subcontinent. It's sort of middle Asia. It's in between the Middle East and East Asia, right? You have Pakistan over here, and west of Pakistan over here in this space would be Afghanistan and the Middle East. And then over here we would have China, and then down here Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, East Asia. So there was at least one student who was maybe confused on this issue. This is Bangladesh. This is where the garment industry, the garment incident in Rana Plaza, the disaster happened. This is the second largest garment producing industry other than garment producing nation other than China, which, as I'm sure many of you are well aware, China is a very large landmass with over 1 billion people. So this little Bangladesh here, crowded and also very, very prominent in the garment industry. It is not India. This is India, right? Which was a British colony for a long time, and then became independent. Pakistan was a part of it, but was created for the predominantly Muslim population in that region. Bangladesh, I'm not sure if Islam is the majority religion in Bangladesh, but very much, I believe it might be. It's a very large group. In India, you have a predominantly Hindu population, and then there is a minority, which as in it's not the majority, Muslim population, and then also primarily in a region called Punjab, which I believe is in the north somewhere here. You have folks who are Sikh. So pretty much anybody you meet who is Sikh is from Punjab, that part of India, right? And that's an actual term. Punjab has been modified into a sort of a slur, but it is an actual place. So that's clarification there. Let's get to this though. First off, resources. We got a tutoring center. Evergreen has a tutoring center for writing. Specifically for this class, it'd be for writing, right? Or maybe even it would help you with reading comprehension, like reading through chapters each week, figuring out how to manage your time. But even if you don't have to go there and ask them for like, hey, do you have tips? Or hey, how do I do this? You could honestly, for a 3-paragraph response, you could write it, go there, get on a computer, show it to them, and they could help you out. They can help proofread, even having them proofread it for you. Proofreading is essential. You should proofread. You can tell I sometimes don't follow my own advice if there's an email with a typo. And that's essential. I need to correct myself on this too. I've been lax in my emails because and even definitely in written assignments for a class, but even if you're just emailing a teacher, this is a professional relationship, right? Teacher, student, boss, employee, client, whatever, attorney, client. So this is a professional situation where you should address the person in the email and tell them who you are at the end, and make sure it looks okay. This is something that none of us do enough of. So this is for the tutoring center. Here's their website. I also have another resource I will include in the email when I send you this office hours clip, or whatever we want to call it. Second, Canvas. So here's the thing, Canvas, let's go to Canvas. This is the homepage of this class. This is how it looks. Follow this part in the middle. These are called modules. Each of these, see, this is chapter 5. This is week 1. It's called module. It's called a module. It's really week 1's work. Excuse me. And everything is done in order, right? You get to this class, and here's the title of the class. Here's the syllabus, and then here's week 1, week 2, and we are on this week, week 3. Everything is in order. The reading, the key concepts, the assignments. It's designed, the course is designed so that you follow it like this. These options on the left are good, to check your grades or to see other students in the class. If you can mess around with these, but sometimes, so there are certain assignments where some of the content in this class was imported, uploaded from previous classes. And so there's crossover. There's assignments there's 2 quiz number 3s, and there's 2 response number 3s. And they're stored somewhere, but there's no value. There's the only value to the actual assignments as far as graded work, as far as points, as far as what you have to worry about for a grade are in here, in these modules. So follow this. See, for example, I think there were 2 quiz number 3s. There was an old quiz number 3, but there's only 1 quiz number 3 here. So that's what you worry about. So follow along here. If it's not on here, it's not relevant. Don't worry about it. If you want, you can let me know. I can go and hide it or delete it or something. That'd be cool. I could do that myself, obviously, but I'm lazy. No, I'm busy. I'm busy. Okay, that's what we say. Boy, I'm just really busy with the just the fireworks and the celebration and the kids and we have to go to Home Depot. How are we gonna find time to hit the depot? We're not even gonna make it to Bed Bath & Beyond. Okay. So let's see. That's actually pretty simple. Oh wait, yeah, let's do this now. We're going to do 3-paragraph response. Where is the rubric? Let's look at the rubric. Really, there is a rubric I set up for one of these. It's pretty straightforward. Where's the rubric? Is there a rubric? Is there a way for you to see the rubric? Look at this. They don't make it easy. No. Huh. Let's see here. Let me know if there's a way you guys can see rubric. Is there a rubric option here? No, that's fine. This is really simple. This is just some feedback. Okay, here's a random paragraph. I believe this is the last response, the one on the Triangle Fire and the collapse of the building in Rana Plaza. This is the 3rd paragraph of someone's response, the comparative one, copied and pasted here without editing. And there's some punctuation and grammar issues that I'm gonna, and a lot of these are common. A lot of these are things that a lot of you do regularly. Very small. This is not a writing intensive course where like writing is graded strictly, but writing is a factor. And this is stuff that'll benefit you in life, as a student and in life, right? Proofreading, noticing, for example, since history, this first sentence here. Let's highlight this. Let's give it an underline. Since history repeats itself. This is probably an autocorrect. I would imagine this is an autocorrect. It happens when you text. It happens when you email. It happens especially when you do stuff on your phone. This happens. Proofreading is important, so you notice that. If anyone who's done talk to text and just sent the text without reading it knows what I'm talking about, because talk to text can go all sorts of funky directions, So history repeats itself is one word and not possessive. Itself. The English language, for anyone who's an English language learner, I apologize for the English language. It's very complicated. It's very difficult to learn. I can't imagine having to deal with that. Its ITS is actually if it's IT apostrophe S to mean it is. But if you're saying it's like possessive, like that's where's the dog? He's in, or it's in its doghouse, right? That's actually a good example. Let's do that one right here. Let's go down here really quick. Where is the dog? It is in its doghouse, which might be 2 words. No. So this it is the one that gets an apostrophe. But this one, the possessive one, does not. It's really silly. English is silly. That's okay, though. That's how you get great words like fart or nuance. Okay. Since history repeats itself, and also really, this is what's called since history repeats itself, We're going to delete it because it's what's called a cliche. It is a cliche, right? For example, in my classroom, if I have people do a 5-paragraph essay for their midterm, usually the questions deal with the treatment of Native Americans, slavery. We're talking about genocide, the enslavement of people, real human rights violations, right? And people will talk about that, and then in their final paragraph, they'll close with, "But it made America what it is today." That's not necessarily untrue. Obviously, America is what it is today because of everything that happened before, for better or worse. That's just something that's not really appropriate. It's not something that teachers like to hear. When you include cliches, and you think, I know it's like, well, this, and this assignment, I should take some responsibility, because these assignments are sort of designed to show connection, right? So you might be inclined to say, well, he wants us to recognize that history repeats itself. I don't use cliches though. Teachers don't want to see that. They will appreciate you more, and they'll appreciate it more if you don't. It's also referred to as sometimes jargon, when you use like big words that are, politico-evolutionary, socioeconomic, which is, sometimes they're necessary, but don't stress using like cliches or words or phrases that you think should be there, right? Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Same with your sentences. Don't do really long sentences with lots of commas. It's okay. It's in writing. It's okay to be short and simple. It's then the reader appreciates it. So let's see where this should start. The two disasters. Yeah, don't just, okay. Yeah, we can actually delete maybe this whole sentence. How about this? The two disasters that hit the garment industry. And then see this, there's a space and then a comma and then no space right here. So that's something where you're typing, or and then you're hitting submit. You got to stop and proofread. Take the time, because if you have little mistakes like this throughout, it's basically, you're showing the person grading it that you wrote it once, wrote it kind of on the fly, and submitted it without really going over it and revising it. Teachers are going to we can tell that when you turn in written work, that there's a lack of revision, a lack of editing, a lack of proofreading. And all that demonstrates, and generally what that demonstrates at its root is you didn't take the proper time to do the assignment. You did it sort of last minute, and you only did it. You did it. You wrote it once, never looked at it again, turned it in, and it shows just a lack of consideration, really. So these teachers, if your teachers, especially, I have a master's degree in history. I have 2 degrees in history. So when you're writing about something, you're writing about subject matter that apparently I'm interested so much in, that I'm willing to continue to teach, to learn about it and teach it for a living. So it's nice to show that there's sort of a care there, even if you're making it up, just to make me feel better, because we're shallow. Teachers need the comfort. Okay, just kidding. The two disasters that hit. So let's just take this comma away. The 2 disasters that hit the garment industry, comma, killing a lot of innocent workers, resulting in the deaths of a lot of innocent workers. But killing a lot of innocent workers is fine, comma. The 2 disasters that hit the garment industry are a good example. Are is plural. Are good examples is a good example. Comparing these two would be a good example. These 2 disasters are good examples. Although good example of, see, this is, okay. Just put are good examples. I'm reading into this too much. Even though the triangle fire, I believe fire is capital. I'm not sure. Let's look that up. Because, civil rights movement, civil rights are for everybody. They're not capitalized. But when you're referring to the specific Martin Luther King, March on Washington, bus boycott, civil rights movement, you actually capitalize civil and rights and movement. They're all capitalized. Let's see about triangle fire. Triangle. Let's search triangle. Because some people capitalize both words. See, triangle factory fire. Wait, triangle shirtwaist factory. No, fire is not capitalized. I think I looked this up before. But triangle shirtwaist factory is actually the name of a company, so that's capitalized. Was the name of a company. So let's go back. Triangle fire, 1911. Let's put a space here. And the collapse. See this? This is see the little things here, little things. And the collapse of Rana Plaza. We're over 100. Are over 100 years apart. Oh, that's true. Are over 100 years apart. I don't like that. How about are separated? Making it fancier than it should be when I was just telling you to be simple. Are separated by more than. And it's actually, I do this, we all, actually, this is a common thing. You'll even hear, you know, like Harvard educated, you know, presidents and stuff who might say 100 years. I think technically it's the proper way is 100, right? Oh, it's $100. No, it's $100, $100. Although the triangle, even though the triangle fire and the, actually, we don't need this, and the collapse of the Rana Plaza and the collapse at, let's say at Rana, the collapse, it is the whole building collapse. The collapse of the Rana Plaza are separated by more than 100 years, comma, we'll delete that. Part is one word too, by the way. They put a part, it's a part, one word. That's why it's under, see, sometimes they're giving you the red squiggly underline. I don't know why this is. Oh, I see. Okay, the main issues stay the same. And here we go. This is good. This is, I like this because they use the dash here. However, this is a short dash, which is really here serves in place of a colon. When you're using the dash instead of a colon, this is a hyphen. You use what's called a long dash, which for me is the shift button, option, boom. See how it's twice as long? That's a long dash. Low wages, long working hours. You don't have to put a comma here. I do the comma here. I do the comma at the end. There's I think it's the, you know, British version. I don't know. Low wages, long working hours, and an unsafe workplace. How about this? Low wages and long working hours in an unsafe workplace. Woo! Look at that. Workplace is one word too. Look at that. Boom. And then close this up. I don't know how some of you learned it. There is a thing about one space after a comma, two spaces after a period. I don't practice it. It's not really. Some of these things are kind of like debated still. The Triangle Fire tragedy led to reforms in the labor laws of the United States. In the labor laws of the United States. In the United, I guess that kind of works, but it's sort of the United States of America. You don't have to put the whole title. We know it, but it would be the United States of America, not American. Triangle Fire tragedy led to reforms in the labor laws of the United States, protecting the rights of workers. Comma. However, let's close this up. However, comma, the change in labor laws after the collapse of the Rana Plaza in the third world countries. That's okay. I'll get remain to be seen. This is a good sentence generally, right? However, the change in labor law, don't put the labor laws. Usually we don't put the word the in front of stuff. Like, you know how Donald Trump says the blacks when referring to black Americans or African Americans? Don't do that. Don't say the whites, the blacks. It's kind of a weird thing. So the labor laws, it's like the is. However, the change in labor laws after the collapse of the Rana Plaza remains to be seen. That's a good closing out. But here's the thing: let's get rid of third world countries. This is what we call this is technically an antiquated term. Let me write that word down for you. Antiquated, right? Antiquities, stuff from ancient Greece and whatnot. This is a obsolete term. It doesn't mean anything anymore. Third world is a relic from the Cold War, right? There's the Cold War where you have the West, the United States and its allies, the first world. The second world is the Soviet Union and its allies. Third world was all of the countries caught in the middle. Whose side are they going to be on? This tended to be poor countries, right? Vietnam, Venezuela, Cuba, right? These tended to be these sort of third world, these these sort of impoverished, agriculture, peasant countries. So less industry, more of an poor agricultural groups. But since the Cold War is over, there is no Soviet Union. So there's no second world. There's no second world. So there can't be a third world without a second, right? Or else. So we say now developing nations, which is also problematic. Developing nations, because what if they're just not developing? What if they're just going to stay that way, right? But we say developing nations usually. Now it's the term. If you're gonna, anytime you're classifying people or countries and trying to put them in groups, you're gonna have problems with it not sounding right. Nothing's perfect, right? For example, minorities. We don't say minority anymore because the certain ethnic groups are growing in population, and white people aren't the majority in some places. So we don't say minority, and minority can have kind of a negative connotation to it, right? Meaning less than minority. Like it sort of sounds unsavory to say it. But now we say people of color. People of color. Well, that implies that white people have no color. Like I have no pigmentation. I'm clear. No, I have color, right? It's a sort of pinkish beige. So nothing's perfect. So, however, the change in labor laws after the collapse of not the Rana Plaza, of just Rana Plaza, remains to be seen. Let's not put the developing nations thing in there or third world thing in there, because we would have to qualify or quantify I forget which one, that statement, right? You sort of say, well, and other developing nations like it. Well, what if we do a Google search and we find out, hey, there's actually a few countries in the last year that have passed certain reforms. You have to sort of, you could find out that that casual statement you made is not really true. You might have to provide some sort of evidence and elaborate, because you're making a statement right there. The change in labor laws, there's no change in labor laws in Bangladesh. Okay, we know that because I can go watch the documentary that I've assigned to you and confirm that. But when you make a statement, a blanket statement about other developing nations, without providing any sort of examples, right? It's unnecessary. So don't worry about it. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. That's the slogan for the day. Keep it simple. Yay. And I believe that might be it. If you have any questions, or you want me to elaborate on anything, you can email me and I can answer those questions in another one of these segments next weekend and have it for Monday morning. Or we'll do a conference on Canvas. But anyways, that's it. Let's close out with, there we go. Let's close out with this friend of mine who left a really mean voicemail.
Hello, Professor Danny. I think you're a stupid head.